Welcome children. In our first video, we had read that Muni is very poor, how he wants to eat drumsticks with sauce but cannot arrange material for sauce. Annoyed, his wife sends him to graze the goats and how he encounters the red-faced American. They both are unable to understand each other's language and indulge in a funny conversation. Let us continue with the story. The foreigner tells Muni that his wife Ruth is staying in Srinagar and it is only he who is taking rounds and will join her later. Muni does not understand anything and ends up telling the stranger how cheetahs or jackals sometimes carry their cattle off, and how the priest at the temple can see the face of a thief in the camphor flame. What he says is completely misunderstood by the foreigner, who, misled by Muni's gestures, thinks that he is talking about chopping of wood and continues telling how he collects the driftwood and chops wood on Sundays for fireplace. Muni tries to make an excuse to leave, thoroughly mystified by the foreigner's conversation, but the foreigner detains him, questioning him as to whether the statue belongs to him. The foreigner assumes that Muni is, like other souvenir sellers in this country, presiding over their wares. Gesturing towards the statue, the foreigner suggests that Muni sell it to him. Muni, finally understanding the foreigner's interest in the statue, begins to narrate legends about it, which have been passed down for generations in his family. Listening to Muni's long speeches, the foreigner becomes increasingly restless and more assertive about buying the statue quickly, saying, "I don't want to seem to have stopped here for nothing." The foreigner marvels at Muni's Tamil and enjoyed him speaking, yet the foreigner assumes that Muni's chatter is just sales talk to promote the horse statue, which the foreigner assures Muni is not necessary. He thinks that whatever Muni is speaking, it is just to impress him about his horse, as he wants to sell the horse. That he convinced Muni that is not required. Muni explains apologetically to the foreigner that he was not allowed to go to school in his youth, as only Brahmins were permitted access to education at that time. Instead, from a very young age, Muni had to work from dawn till dusk in the fields, which is why he doesn't know the foreigner's Parangi or foreign language. He adds that only learned men and officers know English in India. The foreigner continues with an unrelated monologue about how he could sell the statue better than anyone and appreciates the blazing colors of the horse. Once again, misunderstanding the foreigner's reference to the statue that stands beside the highway, Muni begins to explain its mythological and religious significance. He tells the foreigner that it represents Kalki, the final avatar of the Hindu god Vishnu, who will return at the end of the Kali Yuga, or the darkest age of humanity, as a Messiah. to destroy a hopelessly benighted world and reset the cycle of time at Satyuga, the age of truth. Ignorant of the meaning of Muni's speech and the religious and cultural significance of this statue, the foreigner begins outlining a plan to rearrange his other material possessions, such as piles of books and a TV, and place the statue in the middle of his living room so that it can function as a conversation piece at cocktail parties. It can attract the people who come to his house. So he plans everything how he will arrange. He will adjust the horse in his own house. Muni obliviously begins narrating the other avatars of the Hindu god Vishnu and telling of his childhood as a stage actor performing plays based on mythological stories. This way, they both continue conversing, not understanding what the other was saying. Through Muni's monologue, the visitor understands that he is asked a question. In its reply, he tells that he is a modest businessman and trades in coffee. Amid all the confusion, Muni finds the word coffee familiar and thinks that the visitor wants to drink coffee and starts guiding the way where he could get. The foreigner continues with his own monologue, describing his own financial status. Finally, thinking that too much time was already spent on conversation, the foreigner offers a 100-rupee note to Muni for that horse and start planning how he will carry the horse along. He asks Muni to lend a hand adjusting the horse in the wagon. All the confusion seems to be over by this time. Muni feels overwhelmed thinking about the kindness of the foreigner, as he had spent so much of his time with him. He innocently believes that God must be very kind with him, blessing with many children, and asks him about his children. But the American does not understand as usual. Ultimately, the American waves a 100-rupee note and hands it over to Muni. Being surprised, he looked closely at the note. It was something that he had never seen in his life. He had never seen such a big note, as he was facing poverty for a long time. Thinking that the foreigner is asking for change, Muni recommends that he visit the village moneylender. When Muni mentions the moneylender's dislike of him and his gods, whom the moneylender once accused of stealing pumpkins, the foreigner pets his gods, hoping that this will speed up the transaction. Seeing this, Muni assumes that the foreigner is offering him 100 rupees for the gods rather than the statue. Muni is delirious that he is finally getting rid of the gods that served only as a reminder of his impoverished state, and will be able to use the money to open a small shop along the highway. As the gods were already a burden on him, he was not able to fulfill his hunger, to satisfy his hunger. In that case, it was very difficult for him to cope up with the gods. It was possible only to take them for grazing. Apart from that, he was not able to give them any other feeding. So Muni becomes very happy that the foreigner has offered him money to purchase his gods. Now, taking the money, Muni walks off, leaving his gods to the foreigner. The foreigner continues to wait confusedly by the highway, assuming that Muni has gone to fetch help to lend a hand how the horse will be adjusted in his station wagon. Eventually, the foreigner flags down a passing truck and pays the laborers therein to pry the statue from its pedestal and place it in his car. He also pays them to siphon gas from their truck to start his engine. Muni returns home triumphant, informing his wife that he has managed to sell his gods. His wife does not believe him telling the truth and doubts that he has stolen the money. Muni's elation does not last long, as soon enough he hears the bleating of gods at his door. The gods have followed their owner back home. Muni was convincing his wife that he had sold off the gods, but now the gods were already there. So he himself was confused why and how the gods have come back, as he assumed that the foreigner must have taken them in his wagon. His wife assumes that he must have robbed someone to get so much money and threatens to flee to her parents' home should the police come, so that she does not indulge in any problem that they will have to face thereafter. Here the story ends. Now children, read the story thoroughly once again, learn difficult words and their meanings, and then read again to enjoy the story well, to enjoy the humorous conversation that is between Muni and the American.